Hi guys, let's make another installation video for ArcoNet. Choose Advanced, Grub, and then choose a desktop. So Advanced means you go to the internet, right? Everything has to work in your own network at home. We have three choices here, but then on a second kernel as well. So kernels determine if bits and pieces of your motherboard, for example, can be addressed, can be used. So the internet, for instance, is a super important bit of piece of hardware that needs to work, being it LAN or being it Wi-Fi, but something has to work, and then you choose. Secondly, you need NVIDIA or not, right? We are creating an ISO for the new NVIDIA hardware, not the old. So 340, 470, those are all numbers, drivers for NVIDIA. So if that's not working, if you tried this already, number 2, then you use number 3. So this is actually then 4 and 5 and 6, but you know how I see it. 2 kernels. So either you choose Intel, AMD, or OpenBox, VMware, all that. That's number 1. Or number 4, you have NVIDIA newer cards, right? You take that one, try it out. If you have an old card, doesn't work, then you know it's number 3. Save graphics, no mode set, and get things done. Install the drivers later. Sometimes you can learn from that from other distros. Sometimes it depends, right? If you do a tab or an E, you can get into these booting parameters, kernel parameters. So down here is a long list what we've added. Driver is free, no mode set, module blacklist, NVIDIA mode set. You see the line number 3, 4, 5, I don't know how you read it, right? But where the cursor is now, this is the line you can add things to. So to the end, you can type, hey, I'm Eric, right? Won't do anything, of course. But here, you can add specific things that you've learned that other distros use that, and it works for you, right? There are little things, and one of the, I always refer to the Arch Wiki, but there is also a Gentoo Wiki, and I remember from my 2-3 years ago learning that there is a page where you add a lot of things, no APIC, no ACPI, there are some things you can add, and suddenly your PC comes back to life, right? Because you're avoiding a bit from your motherboard that just breaks the boot system. So here you can add stuff. Remember that, right? To any of these guys, and change it and boot it. So E down and read down here. It says press Ctrl X or F10 to boot, right? So you change, you type, you learn, and then that's all I need for this particular hardware to add a text and then boot up. So remember that there's always an option. It's Linux, but for us it's just line number 1. We're in VirtualBox, and even VirtualBox you see error, blah blah blah, right? So yeah, as long as it boots, it's fine. As long as you can install, it's fine. And then later on you can check out if the error persists, or then you change some drivers or some settings, and off you go. Although we have calamares and it's all graphical, right? It still might be a challenge for some of the hardware out there. Then we boot in a graphical user interface. We can choose 30 desktops. We've chosen XFC as the default. And then we make our decisions. Either it's easy, which means no internet required. You're just gonna get what you see. What you see is what you get, right? WYSIWYG for short, meaning you get this. I'll wait for it. Voila. You get this and all the software. If you go for advanced, you made sure that there is internet. Here is your internet. Best tip ever, use a LAN cable, right? But I know there are companies who market laptops without a LAN cable connection. How stupid is that? But there are. So immediately you need to be able to set up your Wi-Fi in Linux. That might be tricky, right? But otherwise, put in a LAN cable And we're going to go for this one, advanced installation. There are options here and here and here. So you can clean up. Maybe we should do that. Run gparted. And there's also the information. If you forgot again, what was it again? We have the ArcoNet Easy. What you see is what you get. You get XFCE4 and all the apps. ArcoNet Advanced, XFCE4 is removed. Bye-bye. And then you need to select something. If you forget to select the desktop, you get SDM and nothing behind it, right? You get all the apps, nothing behind it, no desktop. We're gonna select the desktop where we're at Cinnamon. We're going down the list. And whereas Plasma, there is Plasma thing. So basically, either you're pro, you know everything there is to know about an ArcoLinux system. You select whatever you want in Arco Pro. Either you choose Plasma because Plasma is your thing, but all the rest, 80-90% of the people will use the ArcoNet, which provides an immediately everything you can want. Okay, so let's do a gparted thing, because that's interesting as well, to teach you that on a system that was used already, so an SSD that was not bought from a shop which is then blank, which is all gray, this has been formatted already. So there is already a FAT32 for EFI, there is already a root, ext4, and there's Linux WHAT. Getting rid of everything is one of the rules to make a flawless installation, because then, right, there is nothing written. This is clean slate operation. Bye bye. Now it's not gone. Here is a button, apply all operations. Apply. Now it's gone, right? So all operations successfully completed. If you see that, basically you've a clean slate. The blackboard, you've just wiped everything with written in chalk, right? It's gone. And then calamares will have zero issues writing something down, because sometimes, well, calamares is a Swiss knife kind of thing, but sometimes with encryptions and partitions this and that, it will choke on whatever is there. And this is the way, right? This is gparted. This is the app to just take control over that hard disk or SSD or NVMe, doesn't matter, right? But taking control over all these partitions, and this is my advice, get rid of it. Okay, so now the machine thinks that it's basically coming out of the shop. This SSD has not been written, so to speak. Then we go for advanced online. If you have no clue what all this is, use grub. And then we are going to do some installation, right? You choose your language, there's a lot to choose from. We've covered Chinese and Japanese and Korean, so all these are there, which later maybe you can remove, because those are packages maybe you'll never use ever, but it will be updated. There's no need to install these. You have already 2 kernels, so that's fine, but it's there, right? It's choices, drivers as well. SDM should not be selected, it's already there. Not everything, that's true. So if you want another theme, okay, fine. But here is the thing we were checking out, right? So we're making videos how to install all these desktops, and Cinnamon was the last one, but I have already made one for ChatWM. I'm thinking about it. I think I have, right? ArcoNet with ChatWM. We've done that because, as you know, ChatWM is my desktop on the ISO builder. So I work daily on ChatWM. So I think I've made already a video. So the next up is CWM, installs CWM desktop. If you know, well, the packages and the content of the packages, you can select or deselect in this case, right? Things I say, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. But if you have no clue all this is, keep it, right? It's just our selection. There are lots of Lego blocks in Arch and in Arco, and we say to have this particular thing, efficiency, key bindings, things that you need to launch yourself, because a tiling window manager can be daunting, because you have to think about stuff yourself, about services in the backend yourself. What do I want to have in that system? And I see here Polybar is there, right? We're using Polybar and Pycom. You have to think about everything. And that's what we've done basically for you. Selected a bunch of stuff. Next. First bit was X11. This is the Wayland bit. Remember, Wayland is not always stable and it's not always working. All the apps that you use might not all work on Wayland. Some of them will, some of them won't, right? And it's not our job to make apps work on Wayland. We can only try, but it's up to the developers to support the Wayland backend. Here are all things that we've designed or created for ArcoLinux. This is third party, so these are packages not from us. And no, we do not test all these packages. That's a remark that somebody made on Discord. We do not test all these packages. Yes, I have a lot of packages on my machine from these guys, but not everything, right? It's not possible. So you report if something is not working. And basically, Arduino, for example, right? We have no ties to the developer of Arduino or Genie or any of these guys. It's always a third party. You report to the developer, to GitHub or GitLab or somewhere, saying, hey, your system is not working. And one of the other things you can do is do AOR, ArcoLinux AOR, and report to the package builder maintainer, hey, it's not working anymore. And he'll figure it out if he has the time. It's all free that these people maintain the package build, so be patient, be polite, because basically they all do it for free, right? But yeah, sometimes, you know, updates with packages and then suddenly it doesn't work, and that's Linux, huh? But my experience in after 6 years is if something goes wrong, it takes about 3 days and then it's fixed. Who can say that on Windows or Mac, right? So be patient, things will be updated, and if we can help, we will help. But often it's up to the developer to make sure that his software works on Linux or anything, right? Okay, so lots of software we have zero control over, basically, but is maintained by others. I need Belgian. Where are you, my friend? Here he is, Belgian. So Azertiki, test it out. Check. Next. And here we see this black thing. That's because gparted cleaned it up, right? He has all full control. He says, I don't see any partitions. I have free space. And now you can do whatever you want. You can do a manual partition, which I would not recommend. Let the thing do its work, right? Automatically make everything. Swap no hibernate, swap to with hibernation, or swap to file. Choose one of these guys, right? You can choose GFS. I don't think I've changed. Well, for me, it will always be ext4. But it's up to you, right? Choices. There are distributions who don't give you these choices. They don't give you anything. It's just going to be ButterFS or GFS. Here we have a choice. We give you the choice and you make up your mind. Let's take F2FS. Voila. Just a choice. You Google, you read. What is this thing? What is this thing? What is this thing? All right, next. And here we just type in our password, make sure that we log in automatically, and the root password is the same. Those are my choices. And off we go. So now we have to wait. The partitioning is now here done. Voila. And this is the bit where the bits and the pieces are copied over. This is copied over. That's always the same thing that any calamares distribution will do. It will just copy paste over a compressed image. And the compressed image, yeah, you can do nothing about it. It's a compressed image. So what you see is what you get. That's this process till 50% or something like that. The whole log, right? You're gonna sync things from a certain place to a certain place, and we have to wait. There are two temps here, calamares root and this one, and he's gonna sync it with all kind of difficult long code, excluding things. We have to wait for that one, and then later on, this is the advanced option. Later on, there is in the middle somewhere sudo pacman -r, remove xfc4 goodies. So this thing, the desktop, is gone. And then because I selected something in the screen in calamares, cwm, that one will be installed with all the apps that I've selected, PyChem, Polybar, all that, and also a little bit of xfc4, right? F12. So we basically remove something that we're now putting back, right? The idea is always, again, a clean slate. Get rid of a desktop that we see here, and then maybe Cinnamon or ChatOLM or DWM or right? We choose later on, or you choose later on, and then calamares executes your selection. We cannot remove things, so later on you make your own scripts like ArcoLinux Nemesis. A good example, you can find many tutorials on our YouTube channel, and it basically says, first thing I do after installing ArcoLinux is remove the stuff that I don't want. Drivers, one thing, software, another thing, right? And then add a lot of stuff that I do want. We do have our own app. SoftwareRem is a software installer and remover, and it's basically the same selection you see in calamares. So if you say all the selection in calamares, selecting this and then that, and it takes a long time, maybe I'll just use the SoftwareRem later. It's basically the same selection there, right? Again, this contains software from us, of course, that we maintain and make sure that it works. But all the software from third parties, hey, right, up to others to maintain it. We can't maintain the whole internet, right? It's up to them to do it, and then later on it's up to the maintainers of package builds on AOR. We build it for you, and that's all we can do, and try to make sure that it works. But it is, don't forget, a free system, right? It's an open source system. People do it for free, so be patient for updates. Let's wait for this unpacking to finish. You see here the number, that's where we should get that, and that's, well, almost there. And then we wait till everything is finished and we reboot. Let's pause. Maybe it's a good thing to show you something here. It says here pacman -su. So make sure in advance that the newest ArcoLinux keyring is always installed. So we're jumping from 05 to 0609, which is good, right? June 9. So that's something we've covered. What we haven't covered is all the servers, 500, between 500 and 600 servers in the world, all right? We do not have control over the ArcoLinux servers. We do not have control over your personal network at home. We do not have control over the ISP, your internet service provider, stability, speed, right? There are so many things that can go wrong in an advanced system. Pacman has its rules. Pacman says this package conflicts with that package, and the installation will stop. And that's not the cause of calamares, it's the rules of Pacman. That's our package manager, hence the name Pacman. So if that happens, it's back to the drawing board. No, it is back to easy installation, right? Offline. Then there will be no conflict. There is no server anywhere to be contacted. It's offline. So that's always gonna work. That's something to tell you. And now this ISO has been created, I don't know how many days ago, not that many, but okay, let's have a look. Has been created on June the 10th, and we're now June the 14th. So 4 days, only 4 days. But remember, ISOs stay on SourceForge or on our servers, right? And if it's an ISO from 2 months ago, you get in gigabytes of updates. So it takes a while to do this. Update the system, it says, SU. And that's because, yeah, you need to have, you can't partially update things. You need to update the operating system. So we need this here, which means everything comes in, all the gigabytes of software come in. And this seems like he's doing nothing, and it's hanging maybe. You might have the feeling because of the fact that your internet is super slow, right? It's updating. It's getting every single package, and it could be gigabytes, installing it, well, downloading it, and then of course installing it. Both operations take a lot of time, even if you have a fast internet like I have at the moment, right? I do have a fast internet, and it feels like, oh my god, it's breaking. It says 60%, but no, toch, right? It's busy. And here we're going to install stuff that we need for CWM. Our selection is executed. We want ArcoLinux Polyvar kit, we want Polypore, we want PyChem, and all these things are now installed. So you can keep track of the toggle log. And even if you think something is wrong because I see always the same thing, it is busy. It's doing its executing code. And all you need to do, can do, is just wait. And if there's an error, sometimes most of the times, it should give you a pop-up. It should give you an URL, and that URL you can copy paste in Discord, and then we can say, there is a conflict between that package and that package. There's always a reason, right? Pacman holds for a reason. And otherwise you get this and all as well. But this is an ISO that's 4 days old. I mean, right? Wouldn't be that much updates yet. But if it's 4 months old, you get 4 gigabytes in, more or less, right? 1 gig per month. Yeah, that's Arch. Done. Let's have a look. We've chosen grub, and grub is a little bit of design. Here as well, you can go and move about. You do an E and have a look what's gonna happen. If we use that line, it's gonna do this, right? Read Linux, boot VM Linux Zen. Look at that, we're on Zen, fine. And here audit 0 NVMe load is equals yes, etc. All right, same thing here. You can go in here and have a look. I'd rather boot up with a Linux kernel. One of the things I do, it's up to you, choice. Linux is choice. I remove all the Linux, Zen, CashOS, LTS. I stick with Linux kernel. I've been sticking with the Linux kernel for 6 years, 0 issues. So sure, right? Why would I change if I have no issues? So it's often personal perception and experience that matters. It doesn't matter. You choose what you want, right? And that's ArcoLinux Nemesis for me. I choose what I want. And this is CWM. Okay. Here are the key bindings. Super C. It's killed. And then Control Alt F. There we are. You want to learn something about the desktop. So ArcoLinux D. The D stands for desktop. And in the D is also decide. You decide what desktop you take. And that's all in the ArcoLinux D, right? Phases, phase 1, XFC. Learn first maybe some desktops. These are all desktops. And then later on maybe a TWM or another specific desktop, CWM or Wayland things. But then it's up to you. This is a self-study university. Not much to learn from, but there's always the Arch Wiki, CWM, and of course other YouTubers, right? Giving you more knowledge about CWM in this case. So that's it for me. Yes, you still need to figure out in VirtualBox to make this bigger. Super easy, but yeah, it's up to you to learn more. We have a lot of videos ready for you, and it's up to you to study, right? It's not up to us to hold you, is that the word? To hold your hands and then do everything for you. You need to actually learn, study, watch videos, YouTube, websites, learn about variety, what's this thing, changing the wallpapers, and all that. What's this, what's that? You have to figure it out. And now we're on Zen. You know my drill, but you make something similar. Get Nemesis, it's super easy. Start with this, and then go for a change, completely rewrite it. It's up to you, but it's a basis to start from. I run the 0 current choices here, and I'm gonna remove things first. First thing I do is remove stuff. What do I do? Do I want to get rid of? Remove things, and somewhere here we is, right? 400. Let's make this bigger. First thing I do is get rid of Chinese and Japanese and all these fonts. I don't need them. It's great. It covers all the bases for calamares. The world can use calamares and have the Chinese plasma, right? Cool. But I don't need it. So things that I don't need, also drivers that I don't need, get removed. And that's your work. And to see what does Eric do here, should I do it? It's up to you. Decide what you do. But the technical coding is in here, and that's also interesting. Learn Bash, right? Learn Bash. Learn how to script, because it makes your life super, super easy. All right, enjoy.